What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of Downtown Sports. Today, we're going to be talking about the AFC standings and breakout players. We got a couple new members of the team. In the bottom left, we have Carter Ace. Bottom right, we have Ryan Wong. And in the top left, Matthew McClintock. Happy to have him. Let's get started. Ryan Wong, what's your AFC West looking like?
All right, so I have the Chiefs finishing first in the division, improving 2 games from their 2019 record. I have them going 14-2. For their breakout player, I choose Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's very talented, and to eventually assume the workhorse role and replace Damian Williams. In second place, I have the Denver Broncos, improving 2 games from their 2019 record, coming in at 9-7. I think they have a very young and talented offense, and I think the signing of free agent Melvin Gordon will help them a lot. I choose him as the breakout player, and I just think that all their weapons on offense will really open up the field for him and help him return to his elite form. In third place, I have the Chargers coming in at 8-8, and I have their breakout player being Mike Williams. I think he's severely underrated, and he quietly had a 1,000-yard season last year. And in last place, I have the Oakland Raiders, or Las Vegas Raiders. I have their breakout player being Hunter Renfrow because aside from Josh Jacobs, there's not much talent on that team or offense.
Thank you, Ryan. Carter, what's your AFC West?
I also agree with Ryan with the Chiefs topping the division with a 12-4 record and their breakout player being Clyde Edwards-Helaire. In second place, I have the Chargers going 8-8 with their breakout player being Kenneth Murray, the late first-round pick. Third place in the division, I have the Broncos going 7-9 with Jerry Jeudy breaking out this year. And last place in the division, I have the Raiders going 6-10. First-round pick Henry Ruggs being their breakout player.
Thank you, Carter. What about you, Matthew?
I have the Chiefs winning the division at 14-2, with their breakout player being McCole Hardman. Next, I got the Broncos going 500, 8-8, with their breakout player being Bradley Chubb. Coming off injury, he should be able to provide very well to that defense. Third place, got the Chargers going 7-9, and I think Kenneth Murray will be their breakout player, but I think they're their most dominant rookie. But I think Derwin James is going to have the biggest step up in production. He's going to be one of the best, if not the best, strong safety in the league this year. And then last, I got the Raiders going 6-10, with their breakout player being Pharrell, the 4th overall pick from the draft last year.
Thank you, Matthew. And my AFC West, I have the Chiefs going 13-3, winning the division. I have Willie Gay Jr., the linebacker at Mississippi State, being their breakout player. He has a lot of potential, and he was great in college. We'll see what he can do in the NFL. Second in the division, I have the Denver Broncos going 9-7. I have their breakout player being Drew Lock, the quarterback. He had a great end of his rookie year. We ended up going 5-1. John Elway kind of stacked up the team, the offense for him, loaded up some weapons. We'll see what he can do. And third in the division, I have the Las Vegas Raiders going 7-9. I have their breakout player being Jonathan Abram, strong safety. He got injured last year, but I think he's up for a big year this year. We'll see what he can do. And coming in last in the division, I have the LA Chargers going 6-10. And I also have their breakout player being Kenneth Murray, the linebacker. Now we'll talk about the AFC West. Does anybody have anything to say?
I'm going to just say that I disagree with the Chargers being last in the division. I can see where you're coming from if you put them third behind the Broncos, but I just can't see them finishing behind the Raiders. The Raiders didn't take many steps forward this year. I think the Chargers just added a lot to their team, which will improve their roster with a few O-line additions and Trey Turner and I'm pretty sure Brian Bulaga. And also adding Chris Harris to their defense just adds another veteran to the lineup. And although their quarterback position might not be as solidified as the Raiders, I just can't see them finishing behind them in the division.
Well, it's a one-game difference, and the Raiders, like you said, didn't get much better, but they were 7-9 last year and going the same record this year. I could totally see that happening. The Chargers, I just don't think I have them going that far. Going 6-10, it's not a terrible record. It's better than what they did last year. New quarterback. In the scheme, I just don't see the chemistry flowing for the offense. All right, moving on to the AFC North. Carter, what's your AFC North looking like?
In the AFC North, I have the Ravens at the top of the division going 12-4 with their impact player being Patrick Queen, the middle linebacker. Second in the division, I got the Browns going 8-8 with Myles Garrett being the breakout player. And I think he'll be a top candidate for Defensive Player of the Year after being reinstated this year. Third in the division, I have the Steelers going 7-9 with Claypool, the wide receiver, being their impact player. And last in the division, I have the Bengals going 5-11 with the breakout player being Joe Burrow.
All right, thank you. What about you, Matthew?
I got the Ravens as well winning division, going 11-5 with their breakout player being Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. The Steelers in second place, going 9-7 with Big Ben back, and their breakout player will be Devin Bush, second-year linebacker. Third place would be Browns, 7-9. Their breakout player will be Greedy Williams, the second-round pick from the 2019 draft. He should be able to carry that secondary pretty well. And in last place, I got the Bengals going 6-10 with Joe Burrow as well being their breakout player, hoping to lead that offense to be somewhat respectable.
Thank you, Matthew. On my AFC North, I also have the Ravens going 11-5. I have their breakout player being Mark Andrews, the tight end. He had a great season last year, but I think he's going to step it up this year and maybe be a top 5, especially with Hayden Hurst gone. Second in the division, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers going 9-7. I have Terrell Edmonds being their breakout player, strong safety. He's young, he's athletic. I think the defense is really strong. See what they can do. Third in the division, I have the Cleveland Browns also going 9-7. I have their breakout player being Carl Joseph, the strong safety from the Raiders. This guy has a lot of potential, and we'll see what he can do. And coming in last in the division, I have the Bengals going 6-10. I have their breakout player being Sam Hubbard, the linebacker. He had 8.5 sacks last year. I think he could do that or even do better again this year. We'll see. Ryan Wong, what's your AFC North looking like?
All right, I have the Ravens going 13-3. I think it's interesting that they're favored to go 16-0, but I just don't see that happening. For their breakout player, I'm choosing Hollywood Brown, like Matt. I think he's really talented. He had about 500 yards last year. I could easily see him doubling that total this year. Second place, I have the Steelers. I think a healthy Ben Roethlisberger will really help them. I have them going 9-7, improving one game from their 2019 record. And for their breakout player, I have Deontay Johnson. He's really talented. He was a rookie last year. He showed some flashes. And with Big Ben healthy, I think that'll just help him take the next step. In third place, I have the Cleveland Browns coming in at 8-8. I think they're an average team, but one player I could see doing really well is Kareem Hunt. He obviously showed flashes of greatness on the Chiefs until that incident. I think he'll get a lot of the receiving work, and I think he'll have a great year. And then last in the division, I have the Cincinnati Bengals coming in at 5-11. I think the addition of Joe Burrow will really help their offense, but I see their breakout player being Joe Mixon.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Now we'll talk about the AFC North. I'll start us off. I think the weird thing about the Browns this year, they didn't do too well last year, although they have a great team on paper. I think if Baker Mayfield can step it up this year, kind of do what he did his rookie year, I think they could get 10 wins or above, but right now I've been going 9-7.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's kind of like the Chargers. They always look good on paper, but they never pan out. So I think the Browns also, they always look good, have all these, star players and pieces on offense and defense, and then it never happens. But this year could be their year. You never know. Or they could also go – I could see them also – I could see them going 11-5, or I could see them going 5-11. There's just, no way you can really tell right now.
Yeah, I agree.
You can go on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I agree with both of you. I think the Browns have a pretty high ceiling, but also a really low floor. I think their change in offensive coordinator will really help them. And I think Baker can easily assume a role similar to Tannehill or Jimmy G, where he just hands it off to Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt, and he just throws some short passes. And I think that would help them reach their ceiling.
Yeah, along with the change in O coordinator, like you just said, I think the change in head coach from Freddie Kitchens to Kevin Stefanski is going to be a big change for the Browns offense and defense, especially Baker Mayfield being able to lead them to a better record than what they were expected to do last year.
How do you guys think Burrow's going to do in his first year?
I think he's pretty solid, but I don't think they have the talent as these other teams do. A.J. Green, injury prone. I don't even know if he's gonna have a full season. He hasn't in the past couple of years, but I think he'll be all right team.
I think that addition to T. Higgins will help him a lot too. I think even if AJ Green's about 80%, he's still going to be an elite receiver. And if he can stay on the field, you got Boyd, Green, Higgins, and even John Ross. You got good offensive receiving talent on that team along with Joe Mixon. So he has the tools around him.
I think if their passing game picks up, then it can really open a lot of holes for Mixon because last year they just had absolutely zero passing offense, and they couldn't really get anything going on the ground either because the teams basically knew they weren't going to try to throw because they just couldn't. So just stuffed Mixon every game. So if they can start opening up the passing game, I really think Mixon could have a really good year too.
Yeah, I agree with all of you. I think the return of Jonah Williams, offensive tackle, will really help Joe Mixon. And on paper, the Bengals receivers aren't that bad. Like we said, T. Higgins, AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, even Auden Tate showed some flashes last year. And I think the Bengals can easily surpass expectations this year.
All right. Moving on to the AFC South. What's your AFC South looking like, Matthew?
Okay, so I got this division being kind of weak with the Colts winning division at 9-7 and their breakout player being Michael Pittman Jr., who I think is going to be a phenomenal receiver drafted in the second round. I think second pick of the second round this past draft. Second place in that division will go to the Titans at 500, 8-8, with their breakout player being the 19th overall pick from last year's draft, Jeffrey Simmons, defensive end, who's extremely athletic and will be able to help that defensive line. Third place going to Texans, 7-9. Couldn't figure out a true breakout player for them, but I think David Johnson will be a really big impact player. Hopefully he can show some of his Arizona flashes with the Houston this year. And then last place, I got the Jaguars going 4-12. And I think if used correctly, Laviska Shenault will be their breakout player.
All right, thank you, Matthew. On my AFC South, I have the Houston Texans going 10-6. I have their breakout player being Garyon Conley, the cornerback that they acquired from the Raiders last year. He's young. He gets Bradley Roby there to teach him some stuff. We'll see what he can do. Coming in second, I have the Tennessee Titans going 8-8. And I have their breakout player being Jayon Brown, the linebacker. He was really solid all season, and especially in the playoffs. He showed up. I think he's going to do great this year. Coming in third, I have the Colts going 6-10. I just don't see Philip Rivers doing that great, and I don't think he's going to carry over anything from what he had for the Chargers. I have their breakout player being Michael Pittman, the wide receiver. He's going to be solid, but nothing like what he'd be with a better quarterback like Drew Brees or Tom Brady. And coming in last in division, I have the Jaguars going 13, and I have their breakout player being Josh Allen, the defensive end. He had 10.5 sacks last year, and he's only 23 years old. He's an uprising star, and we'll see what he can do. What about you, Ryan? What's your division looking like?
All right, so I have the Titans winning the division at 10-6. I think this is a really competitive division. They drafted Isaiah Wilson, demonstrating that they want to really run the ball. They also extended Derrick Henry. For my breakout player, I have a second-year receiver out of Ole Miss, A.J. Brown. I think he showed flashes of greatness last year, and he'll just take that next step this year. In second place in the division, I have the Houston Texans coming in at 9-7, dropping one game from their 2019 record. I think their breakout player will be Brandon Cooks. He's been kind of a journeyman his whole career, but with the loss of DeAndre Hopkins, it's his job to lose. Coming in at third place in the division, I have the Indianapolis Colts coming in exactly at 500, 8-8. I think Michael Pittman Jr., like both of you said, will be their breakout player, and he'll get a lot of the short routes, while T.Y. Hilton will get a lot of the deep routes. And then coming in at last in the division will be the Jacksonville Jaguars, coming in at 6-10. I think their breakout player will be Kayvon Chason, edge rusher out of LSU. I think he's really talented, and he slipped further than he should have in the 2020 NFL draft.
All right, thank you, Ryan. What about you, Carter?
All right, I have this division being pretty close to the top, with the Texans going 9-7. I have their breakout player being Laramie Tunsil. I know he's always been a good left tackle, but I could just really see him take a big step forward this year and help the offensive line and help Deshaun Watson not have to struggle so much when he's back in the pocket. Second, I have the Tennessee Titans going 8-8 with their breakout player being Corey Davis. I could see their receiver, him and Corey Davis and A.J. Brown kind of being like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf in Seattle, that two wide receiver duo. Third in the division, I have the Colts going 7-9, and I'm agreeing with all you guys, the breakout player being Michael Pittman. And then last in the division, I have the Jaguars going 4-12, with the breakout player being Josh Allen.
All right, thank you, Carter. We'll talk about the AFC South real quick. All right, so Ryan, you have the Jaguars going 6-10. I think that's even a little too high. I have them going 3-13. I don't think there's anything going for them in the future or even this year. Minshew did all right last year, but I don't think they're going to be that good.
Yeah, well, the reason I have the Jaguars going 6-10 is because I think they're a little underrated. I could easily see them going 3-13, but I could easily see them going 6-10. They have DJ Chark, who had a breakout year last year. They drafted Laviska Shenault, who could have a summer role to Deebo Samuel, like in San Francisco. Fournette's in a contract year, so they're going to run him into the ground. And Minshew was serviceable last year, and I think it's only up from here. So that's why I have them going 6-10.
I just think they might replace him after this year, too, in the draft. They might even be looking to completely tank, like what the Bengals did for Joe Burrow, get that next big guy. But we'll see.
I agree with that. I think, especially in this next draft, you got Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and even Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. So I think they'll definitely do bad and replace him this season. Even if he does the same thing he did last year, that's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, I agree. All right, lastly, moving on to the AFC East. I'll start off this time. I have the Buffalo Bills going 10-6, and I have Ed Oliver, the defensive tackle, being their breakout player with 5 sacks last year. I think he's going to up that, being a big force, almost like Aaron Donald type guy. He has a lot of potential. He's really young. We'll see what he can do. Coming in second, I have the Patriots going 10-6, and I have their breakout player being N'Keal Harry, the wide receiver. He got injured last year, but I think with the new quarterback in town, he has new opportunities because Cam Newton hasn't played with any of these guys yet, and we'll see what he can do. Coming in third, I have the Jets going 7-9. I have their breakout player being Rashad Perryman, the wide receiver. He's a really talented wide receiver, has a lot of speed, but it was kind of crowded down there in Tampa with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I think now in New York, he'll have his time to shine and be the wide receiver one there. And coming in last, I have the Miami Dolphins going 6-10. I have their breakout player being Mike Gesicki, the tight end. He had some flashes last year, and I think he's an overall really good tight end with really good hands. Has some speed. We'll see what he can do. What about you, Ryan Wong? What do you think?
All right, I have the Bills winning the AFC East, coming in at 11-5. They added Stephon Diggs. I think he'll be a great deep threat for Josh Allen because he likes to throw deep. And for their breakout player, I have Devin Singletary. I think he's really talented. He did pretty well last year. And with the departure of Frank Gore, I think it's his backfield. They did draft Zach Moss, but I don't think he's that great. And then second place in the division, I have the New England Patriots coming in at 10-6. They added Cam Newton. I think this will just benefit their entire offense. And for their breakout player, I have Josh Uche out of Michigan. For third in the division, I have the New York Jets coming in at 8-8. They replaced Robbie Anderson with Perryman, but I don't think that's the receiver that's going to break out. I think their breakout player will be Jamison Crowder. He had a really good connection with Sam Darnold last year before he got mono, but I think if Darnold stays healthy, he'll be really good. And then last, I have the Miami Dolphins coming in at 6-10. They added Tua. They drafted O-lineman to protect him, Austin Jackson out of USC. They made a lot of moves this offseason, but I see their breakout player being Matt Breida from San Francisco. I think he's really talented. He'll get all the receiving work. He's really fast, and I just don't see Jordan Howard having a big role.
All right, thank you. What about you, Carter?
I have the Bills winning the division at 11-5. I have the breakout player also being Ed Oliver. Second in the division, I have the Patriots going 9-7. I just don't really and breakout player being Cam, but I think Cam will have a good year. But overall, I'm not sure if he fits the Patriots scheme, resulting in wins. I think he'll have a good year individually, though. Not sure about the team success with that one, though. Third, I have the Dolphins going 7-9 with Mike Gesicki as the breakout player. And last in the division, I have the Jets going 5-11. With I think Darnold will take a step forward, which is good for them. But I'm not sure about the rest of the team.
All right, thank you. What about you, Matthew?
So I got the Patriots winning division 10-6 with their breakout player being N'Keal Harry. I think their first round pick from last year will be able to succeed with Cam Newton thrown to him. Second place, I got a tie. It will be the Bills or the Dolphins, both of them going 500. For the Bills, I got their breakout player being Devin Singletary. Rookie running back Zach Moss may cut into his workload, but I also think that it'll make him want to succeed more, and he will succeed more. And the Dolphins breakout player, I got Preston Williams. Amazing athleticism from the receiver spot going undrafted last year, which is crazy. Too bad he tore his Achilles. But this year, with Tua thrown to him, he should be able to have a really good year. Last place got the Jets going 3-13. I don't think Jamal Adams will be traded, but if he does, the breakout player will 100% being Marcus May, the free safety. And if he doesn't get traded, I think Marcus May will still have a phenomenal year.
All right, thank you, Matthew. We could talk about the AFC East real quick. You guys mentioned that the Jets are going to be not too good. You had them going 3-13, and I believe, Ryan, you had them going, 6-10?
No, I said the Jets would go 8-8, so there's a lot of
I
variance.
said 5-11.
Oh, you said
Yeah,
5.
I said 3-13.
I think Sam Darnold's a pretty good quarterback. Last year when he was gone, that's when the team failed. Right when he came back, though, he was pretty solid. Made connections with Jameson Crowder, like you said. And I think they're going to have a pretty good team. Not too good, but better than last year.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
why
you can go on.
okay. That's why I gave them an 8-8 record. I think they had really bad quarterback play last year. They have a healthy Chris Herndon, Jameson Crowder. They replaced Robbie Anderson with Rashad Perryman. They also drafted rookie Denzel Mims out of Baylor. So I think they'll definitely improve from last year.
Yeah, I think Le'Veon Bell still has some stuff left in the tank. Too bad that Chaz aren't that good of a team for him to use it, though.
I hope he has some stuff left because right after Pittsburgh, after that whole holding out controversy, his career just kind of went downhill, but I hope he could spark it back up. Now we'll talk about everyone's playoff teams. Now the NFL is doing 7 seeds, like I mentioned last week. Ryan, what are your 7 seeds looking like?
Okay, so in first place, I have the Chiefs coming in at 13-3, or 14-2. Second, I have the Ravens coming in at 13-3. Third, I have the Bills coming in at 11-5. Fourth, I have the Titans coming in at 10-6. Fifth, Patriots 10-6. Sixth, Texans 9-7. And for the 7th seed, I think it's going to be really close with the Broncos and Steelers both going 9-7. But I just see the Steelers edging them out because of Mike Tomlin's experience.
All right, then. What about you, Carter?
I got the Chiefs at the 1 seed, the Ravens at the 2 seed, the Bills in the 3 seed, the Texans at the 4 seed. And then I got the Patriots with the 5th seed. And then I have 3 teams going 8-8 with the Titans, Browns, and Chargers. So 2 of those teams will make it in.
Yeah, that'll be a shootout. What about you, Matthew?
Yeah, I got the 1 seed being the Chiefs, 14-2. 2 seed, the Ravens, 11-5. The 3 seed will come out of the East, the Patriots, 10-6. The 4th seed will be out of the South, the Colts at 9-7. I got the Steelers getting the first wild card spot at 9-7. And I got 4 teams going 8-8, those being the Broncos, Titans, Bills, and Dolphins. And I think the 2 remaining playoff spots will go to the Titans and the Bills.
All right. For my playoff teams, I have the 1st seed being the Chiefs going 13-3. I have the Ravens going 11-5. The Bills going 10-6. The Texans also going 10-6. The Patriots also going 10-6. At the 6th seed, I have the Denver Broncos going 9-7, and the 7th seed, I have the Steelers going 9-7 as well. I actually agree with most of you guys' picks for the playoffs. I don't think there are any big shots like last week where we had the Bears going in the playoffs. Completely disagreed with that. But, yeah, I think you guys did pretty solid.
Yeah, it's just Matt. I don't think the Bills and the Dolphins are on the same level because you said they're both going to go 8-8. I think the Bills are favored to win the division, and I think they'll definitely reach double-digit wins. But I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Well, I think they'll be good. Like, they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to win that division. Patriots, adding Cam Newton, really just, to me, are going to run away that division. That division still has a bunch of potential. I think the Dolphins are a young team coming up. The Bills added Stephon Diggs, which will help them for sure. But if less Josh Allen can get more accurate, they're not making the play. They're not going far in the playoffs and certainly not winning division.
I think that the Dolphins are kind of like the Chargers this upcoming year, where they both have new quarterbacks, new systems. I think give them both a year, and I think they'll both be good next year. This year, I don't think the Dolphins will even go 500. I think going 6-10, but yeah.
I don't know if you can really compare those two teams because although the quarterback situation is similar, I just think the Chargers, like, defense and offensive weapons are just, like, on another level compared to Miami. Like, they don't have a Keenan Allen type receiver. Like, I think Hunter Henry's on another level compared to Mike Gesicki. I think he will break out, but I still don't think he'll be top 7 or 6 tight ends like Hunter Henry when healthy is. And then their defense just, I just can't see it being the same level as the Chargers. So besides the quarterback situation, I don't really see them like being that like comparable.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Carter on that one. I think collectively the Chargers are just a lot more talented. They both have rookie quarterbacks, but Keenan Allen's a lot better than Devonta Parker. I think Mike Williams is a little better than Preston Williams. Hunter Henry's already established. Gesicki is basically, you're just rating him based off potential. And on the defensive side, the Chargers have 2 elite edge rushers with Bosa and Ingram. They have an elite corner in Casey Hayward, and then an elite safety in Derwin James. I just don't think the Dolphins have it, aside from free agent signing Byron Jones.
And they added veteran Chris Harris to the cornerback.
Yeah, so he's going to play nicely opposite of Casey Hayward.
Well, you said they picked up Chris Harris. I'm a Broncos fan. I completely kicked him to the curb after – I think he was terrible last season. Got burned almost every single play. He had a 1v1 situation. So
he probably just wasn't happy with where he was playing.
I hope that's not the reason. I mean, I'm not saying I hope he does bad, but I don't think he's that good.
Well, the point is that the Chargers are just going to be on a different level than the Dolphins, regardless of how Chris Harris plays.
Like they might be
Chargers.
They might be close in record because I don't know how Tua is going to compare to Tyrod/Herbert, but like besides like I don't think you can compare the rest of the teams. I just don't think that it's that close.
Just kind of comparing the I just think overall they're both, new systems, kind of new players playing together on both sides. And I think that give them both a year, I think they'll both be maybe playoff teams both next year. So
yeah, the Chargers got a lot of pieces, but they're not going to get them all together this year. I think next year for sure, that like you said, they're going to be a threat in the AFC West and the AFC in total.
All right, well, that's it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll watch out for a video next week. And signing off, Carson, Ryan, Carter, see you guys.